Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble for the Super Nintendo, alongside with the forms of the Game Boy Advance. So, last time we basically just managed to conclude the first world in the game known as Lake Orangatanga, and that was actually a pretty simple and easy world, despite I stumbled across the accidental death on the forms of in the third level, so that's only because I was being so hasty at that point. So, yeah, today for this episode is the fact that we are moving on to the second world in the game known as Kremwood Forest. Now, for Kremwood Forest, that's, well, certain stages might actually get ourselves a bit of different gimmicks to it. Like, for instance, here we go with the forms of the first level in this world, and that's what appears to be the Barrel Shield Bus Stop. Now, if you ever played the Game Boy Advance version of this game, chances are, though, much like in Donkey Kong Country 1 on the Game Boy Advance, and same applies to Donkey Kong Country 2 as well, that certain levels are in a different order, depending on what version you're going and play through. So, like, for instance, I believe in the Game Boy Advance version, that you start the level off with a different level, as opposed to the same level as the Super Nintendo counterpart. Well, mind you, you're able to actually go in the different order and such. So, yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can usually try to say with that. Another comparison between the Game Boy Advance version and the original version. So, either way, though, we can expect this much. So, yeah, the main emphasis on this level, though, as you can see, is the fact that every time you're able to try to climb up into that rope, basically what that is the fact that, as you can see, we actually stumble across these little white monkey-like enemies. And what they do is the fact that they manage to be able to try to toss something at you. However, here's the thing, though, is the fact that sometimes they might able to go all over the place when it comes to, like, tossing those projectiles at you. And as a result, the main emphasis on this is the fact that, well, as you noticed about the fact that in the few seconds ago, that we stumbled across these, like, barrel-like shields, that if you're trying to climb up to the rope. That will be pretty useful, though, especially noticeable if you really don't able to get hit by certain, like, you know, projectiles and all that stuff. Like this part, for instance, that you have to go onto the left as opposed to the right, because obviously if you accidentally go to the right of that particular rope, then you won't able to get hit. And vice versa, that if you manage to able to, like, well, it might be hard to explain clearly, though, just because I know it has been 2 days since I've last touched this game, just because obviously that, you know, Mighty and Ray are still managed able to actually playing through, like, you know, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for the Switch, so yeah, that pretty much summarizes as such. Oh, speaking of the Switch version, is the fact that, yes, this game also came out on the Nintendo Switch, being in forms of the Switch Online membership services, and during the forms of the worst year in 2020. So because of that, yeah, that way you can able to finally get a chance to play this game on the go, along with the forms of the new 3DS versions as well. So, other than the fact that it plays out exactly the same as the forms of how it does in the original, but you can able to actually play on the go, which is, I think, is actually a good thing. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. Ah, dang it, I wasn't paying attention, so, oh well, no big deal, because that's okay, because, well, in addition to able to find ourselves our DK barrel, which actually gives us Dixie Kong, and also we can able to actually expect to able to stumble across, another secret, so, in this case, the bonus area, so, because, yeah, as I said this before, that, usually for every single levels, that, few exceptions, mind you, that does manage to able to contain 2 bonus areas, I'm pretty darn sure. So, either way, though, yeah, a few things we want to explain for this point today is the fact that today's day is, of course, I would say today it is the 5th of August today, if I'm surely I might as well able to get that correctly. Yes, the 5th of August today. So, not much else to talk about. Well, I've already mentioned about it since yesterday, about the fact the matter is, though, is the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, that you notice I managed able to get myself my physical copy of Kirby Mass Attack for the DS, although I'll get to more details about this in any moments until later levels, because, obviously, first of all, we're trying to go ahead and save our game. And so far we've got 15% done, so because of that though, yeah, we've barely got started for this. So hopefully we would be able to continue our progressioning there. So in this case, let's move on to the next level. So here we go with Riverside Race. Now, here's the thing about this level though. I'm actually going to be doing 2 playthroughs of this stage. Because as you can see on screen, that we actually stumbled across ourselves our timer right there. Meaning that, as you can tell from the first run, I'm going to be going through a speedrun kind of technique. Although, mind you, not the best speedrun I've ever stumbled across, but basically, in this level's gimmick, is the fact that we actually come across into our timer, like I said. And here's the thing though, is the fact that if you really want to get every single collectibles of the game, well, you have to be sure you need to beat someone else's timer. Like, for instance, the time we need to beat is 1 minute and 15 seconds. And if you manage to accomplish that, then you would be able to actually discover something once you continue your progressioning for Kremwood Forest. So, yeah, we'll save the secrets or the, well, the bonus areas, along with the DK hero coin until for, like, later. Well, for the second playthrough anyway, so because of that, though, I was able to take care of this particular, new record, time attack first, before you're able to do anything, so... Excuse me, I do apologize for that. So, for that little belchiness and stuff like that. So yeah, as you can see, we did manage to beat the actual time record, so that way we can able to trigger something once we meet up with that particular bear NPC and stuff like that. So, but now we need to head back there again, but this time around though, we're able to find the rest of the forms of those bonus areas, and also the DK hero coin, of course. So, now here's the trick to it, the forms of Kitty Kong right there. That, as far as you know, is the fact that he can be a bit of a powerhouse, but you can also, get this, he can able to actually do a skimming water technique. This will be useful though, especially in this level's case, because obviously there are quite a few levels like this that it might actually require us to able to do a lot of water skimming ability for Kitty Kong. So because of that, some people seem to able to despise Kitty Kong, mainly due to the fact that he acts out like a baby. But honestly, he's kind of a cool Kong to use, but it might be pretty easily be forgotten because of the fact that until eventually they're able to actually well, bring in like Chunky Kong from Donkey Kong 64, Tiny Kong, and also Lanky Kong, and heck, even with the forms of well, Funky Kong. Well, generally, Funky Kong is already a thing, so either way though, that's, yeah, that Kitty Kong might actually be the most forgotten Kong members, so, yeah, it's kind of weird, honestly, but anywho though. And also keep this in mind is the fact that we need to watch out for these little, like, fly-like obstacles, or mainly with those fly insects, because obviously if you dare touch them, then you'll lose your Kong, so, yeah, it's one classify that. Now, in the second bonus area, we do need to acquire an invincibility barrel, which if you see on that exclamation mark, meaning that if you somehow activate that, you'll be invincible for a few seconds. So, yeah, something worth classifying for noticing this, just like in Donkey Kong Country 2. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that solution. So, anyway, so there we go. We've got ourselves 15 B coins, pretty much so far. So, naturally speaking, that's, well, we're actually getting some progressionings there. So, anyway, let's just go ahead and continue on here. I believe the DK hero coin is going to be at the very end, I'm pretty sure. Because I can definitely tell that we stumbled across our G letter. So, at least thankfully we can able to actually get ourselves even more extra lives. Assuming if we're able to try to go ahead and there we go. So yeah, that's how you're essentially going to do. You have to use the Kitty Kong's special technique, which is of course the skimming, jumping kind of technique, like water skimming and stuff like that. So because of that, hopefully you would do that no problem. Although, there's an alternative way you can able to save your progressioning, and that is something to do with the fact that if you complete the level just once, then if you manage to pause the game, and then you press the select button, then basically it'll take you back to the world map, just like the forms of how it does it on the previous 2 games for sure. So anyways, here's the next level in World 2, and that's what appears to be squeals on wheels. So, at least if I recall that correctly with that level's name. And I believe this might actually be the last time we're going to be stumbled across the mill-like environment kind of levels, because, well, we're not going to see those kinds of levels ever again until the later worlds throughout the game, specifically that we might able to still come across into let's just say tree environment levels, and same applies to the forms of the Riverside kind of levels, and vice versa though, really. So yeah, the main emphasis on the stage is the fact that we need to get rid of those mouse-like enemies in order to progress. Because every time you're able to actually, you know, destroy these mouse-like enemies like these ones over there, that they're managed able to ride on the actual, like, wheels and such, some stuff like that. And basically, that particular meter will actually, like, well, the red line will able to actually decrease every time you get rid of those, like, mouse-like enemies. But then, when it gets to, like, a full green bar, that means you're able to progress. So, yeah, that's essentially how this goes with this level. So, anyways, back into that little topic about the forms of how, you remember when I mentioned this before? About the fact that I did manage to pick up, you know, Kirby Mass Attack for the Nintendo DS, the DS physical version. And, it's actually kind of easy to control on the physical version of the game. Well, because, mind you, because usually if I was going to be planning to do the Let's Play of the game, it might be kind of awkward on the Wii U version just because of the actual setup and everything, which I need to get around into that eventually. But what's also kind of odd is the fact that between the rest of the games I actually got at the moment for the rest of the Kirby series by that point, well, mind you, I've almost got every single game by that point, and apparently though, that Kirby Mass Attack did manage able to sell well a bit more than the Canvas Curse on the DS for some reason. I think it's mainly due to the fact with the gameplay style or something. Well, mind you, that I've actually got the list of the forms of the best listing or the most popular Kirby games has been sold. Like, the best one out of them all, though, it is definitely Kirby's Dream Land for sure, just because it's on the Game Boy, and plus it's the one that started it all for the Kirby series. And the second place where it comes to the best-selling Kirby games at that point, it was, well, Kirby Star Allies for the Nintendo Switch. Well, mind you, it's only like 3 million copies sold, but that's okay, because it does so well. Especially that was on the Nintendo Switch, so that's pretty good. And third place goes to Kirby Superstar Ultra, which for those of you have seen, for those of you who have seen our Let's Play of the game, then be sure to check it out. And fourth place goes to Kirby Triple Deluxe for the 3DS, so yeah, that's actually pretty cool. And fifth place goes to Kirby's Dream Land 2, which I was expecting if I was trying to get the original cartridge for it, but it might be a bit pricey these days. And there's also sixth place goes to Kirby Mouse Attack, aka Squeak Squad, in North America. So yeah, that's actually pretty decent for that sales records. And seventh place goes to Kirby's Pinball Land. I definitely heard about the game, but I've never actually played it before, so I have no comments on there. And I believe 8th place goes to Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, the most amazing Kirby's Adventure remake for sure. And Kirby's Epic Yarn is actually in 9th place, which is actually pretty good. And 10th place goes to Kirby's Return to Dreamland, aka Kirby's Adventure Wii. And 11th place goes to Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, and Kirby's Adventure is on 12th place. 13th place goes to Kirby Planet Robobot, and 14th place goes to I would say Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, and well, for the Game Boy Advance anyway. I believe 15th place goes to Kirby Superstar, and I believe and after that it was Kirby Air Ride for the GameCube, and then after that it was Kirby Tilt and Tumble, despite the fact that in the UK version of the game never saw light of day, probably because of how the fact that, well, technology properties I suppose, but I digress. And after that it was Kirby Mass Attack, and after that it was Kirby Canvas Curse, aka, excuse me, Kirby Power Paintbrush, on the UK European version, and oddly enough, Kirby's Dream Collection didn't sell that much though. I'm guessing it's like limited release or something like that, and also mind you, that game also never saw a light of day in the European countries, because I'm pretty darn certain this might be something to do with the forms of the anime or something, but I don't know. Well, I'll try and able to mention more about it. Anyways, next level, Springing Spiders. And once again, we're going back into a tree environment kind of levels like this. So, and the main emphasis on the stage is the fact that we have to get a lot of usage on these little spider springy looking enemies. Thankfully, these don't harm you, they just manage to able to act out as obstacles like that. So, at least that's a good thing that these things didn't harm you. So, anyway, let's get back into the forms of those specific best, you know, Kirby games sold. After Kirby's Dream Collection, there is Kirby's Dream Course, and there's also Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which apparently that game didn't sell well though, probably because it was on the Wii U to begin with. Although mind you that most people would really prefer a traditional platformer Kirby game, you know, with the actual side-scrolling and you can able to freely control the character rather than just using the stylus the whole way through, which I can totally see why, despite the fact that we've still managed to got that game. So, and after that it was Kirby's Dream Land 3, and that game also never saw a light of day in Europe, and that's pretty much about it. And after that it was Kirby Battle Royale for the 3DS. Mind you, it's almost like a Kirby version of Mario Party. Well, mind you though, because I haven't touched that game since in 2017. Most notably because I was more into like the familiar genre of Kirby games like platformers and all that stuff, which is always my kind of thing. So, and after that it was Kirby's Block Ball, and after that it was Kirby's Star Stacker. And unfortunately, the worst selling games when it comes to the Kirby franchise is Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn for the 3DS. Well, mind you, because the 3DS is pretty much over and done with by that point, so... Oh, really? Ah, that's just great. It actually decided to kick me out. But, thankfully though, we can easily just able to try this again, if possible. So, yeah, that's quite a lot of Kirby games. They did manage to able to sell quite good for certain games, most notably Kirby's Dream Land, the original Game Boy game. And I was quite surprised about the fact that, wow, Kirby Mass Attack did manage to beat Camphor's Curse for selling points department. Or I'm pretty darn certain that obviously the worst selling points for the Kirby game, as I mentioned earlier, is Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, just because it already came out on the Wii version, even though, mind you, that most people seem to prefer the Wii version a bit more than the forms of how it does it on the other versions, well, the 3DS version most likely. So, because I totally understand why, that's the 3DS version did sell well. So, and it's also worth noting for is the fact that usually for Camphor's Curse, aka Rainbow Paintbrush, that was actually kind of like the worst selling Kirby game on that system, which, again, I have no idea why, mind you, but that's as far as I can usually try to describe it. So, I digress. So, thankfully we did manage to complete this, so now we should probably able to move on for a bit. So, hopefully we would able to actually just well, you know, try to find some more bonus areas, and, well, that's pretty much as far as I can say about it, so... And also another thing I would like to classify for mention something that I was originally trying to able to mention something related to the Olympic Games again, well, specifically the most recent one, the Tokyo Olympics, but unfortunately though, there's not much right to home about, I'm afraid. Although, I'm sure enough that Ray and Mighty were able to mention more about it. What if we get into the forms of the 9th of August, a day after the closing ceremony for the Tokyo Olympics, which, so far, for what I've watched it so far, I actually really enjoy it still. Mind you, there might be still some close calls between certain matches and all that stuff. Yeah, I'm looking at youth football because, well, usually for Great Britain, for my team anyway, they were literally so close to able to actually make it to the semi-finals during the other day. That was on the forms of, well, let's just say on last Friday, actually. And as a result, though, that we literally off by 1 point. And mind you, that, well, I don't suppose if you guys may able to actually see the highlights of the Great Britain team, mind you. That's only because usually depending on what specific countries you lived in, sometimes they're always focusing on their respective countries and all that stuff, which, even though it's kind of hard to say at the moment, just because, well, I know for the fact it has been quite a while since I actually mentioned something like that. And also I managed to go back into Mario Kart Tour again, and thank God I've now finally able to caught up, for the sake of my team anyway, for the token events. So far that Team Mario is actually in the lead at the moment, which is good, at least as far as I've managed able to pick that choice, because back in the past few days, I was kind of worried at first that Team Peach might able to caught up, but turns out that we actually managed able to play as Team Mario, of course, for the sake of that particular team rally and stuff like that, or in some cases though, with the actual tour itself. Although thankfully we haven't got that far left of it though, for that particular team tour, before we move on to the next one, so yeah, that'll be until likely next week or so, for, well, let's just say 6 days for now, so anyway, so let's go ahead and deal with this bonus area, and once again we have to grab all these stars before we grab the actual B coin, so thankfully we've managed to accomplish that super easily, so thankfully we managed to have done that. And so far we've actually got 19 of these things, so yeah, everything goes all comes together. That's as far as what I meant to say about that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and finish the level here. And since we finished that level, that's now we can move on. And before we move on, let me just go ahead and save my game quickly, so just in case I don't want to able to lose my progress. Especially noticeable because obviously that saving is important. So 21% done. Looks like we are getting there. It looks like we are definitely getting there. Well, mind you, that some of these levels might actually be a little bit more longer. So anyways, Brush's Cavern. So if you're able to pay a visit in here, then this is what I was talking about in the forms of the Riverside Race. And this means that since I actually did manage to beat his time, this means about the fact that, oh goodness gracious me, he's probably gonna get mad. So I think it's probably best to leave. And basically, if you do leave, then basically this particular log right there, as where it's moving, is actually now somehow connected to that specific path. Although mind you, we need to finish this level there first. Bopping Barrel Bro. Okay, so we'll just get this started. Okay folks, I'm sorry for this jump cut right there, because if you couldn't tell already that why I switched over to Kiddy Kong as opposed to Dixie Kong from the very beginning, well, this level does take me a lot of practice on it though, so I do apologize for that lost footage on that first attempt of this particular level, but that's okay though, because I somehow accidentally caused my death again, so anyway, so the main emphasis on this level, much like the forms of Murky Mill, from the likes of the first world in this game. Basically, we once again take control of Ellie the Elephant again, except that she can now able to actually use her another ability that is something to do with the forms of sucking up the water and use the water as projectiles, assuming if you're able to actually carry a certain amount of them. And also you do need to able to actually get rid of those little pesky birds, or these robin-like birds, until you're able to progress for that particular bonus areas and such. And also that what's cool about this stage in particular is the fact that you can also just manage to able to let Ellie the Elephant manage to pick up some of the those barrels, and then you can able to toss those barrels in the water, and basically they'll able to actually create those platforms. So yeah, that seems kind of cool though. Especially noticeable about the fact that usually relatively speaking, that's as far as I can usually say about this level. Although, mind you, in order to able to actually, like, suck up some water with her trunk, basically you have to press the R button, and you have to be able to press the R button to, well, trying to able to shoot out projectiles at certain enemies and all that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty simple if you manage to get the hang of it though, but then again, I really wish if I was gonna able to do this on my first attempt, but somehow, not only that I do apologize for that jump cut on that before we get started with this level, because I somehow stumbled across my capture card problems again, so, meaning about the fact that it keeps on like glitching up again, so, but thankfully it should be sorted by then, so, yeah, I think it should be pretty alright and such. So here's that coin enemy right there. So hopefully we'll try to able to get that hero coin if possible. There we go. So you have to do a lot of emphasis on that timing for that jump, by the way. So, alright, so let's hop into this water and manage to able to continue with things on here. And then we have to use those steel barrels, or at least one of those steel barrels. Because yeah, if you accidentally leave off screen while you're able to actually toss those barrels on the water, it'll eventually disappear if you walk off screen. So something's well classified for noticing that. So okay, there's nothing in here, so we'll just continue on. And of course we need to take care of this pesky like Robin enemy like kind of enemy. Ah, dang it. Okay, whatever. That's okay. Oh, there's actually a, I think there's a bonus area down there. But how do we get down there? Oh, wait a second, with those little bug-like enemies. Oh, I see. So we have to do some bouncing onto them, and then if you get enough drop height, then you would able to go to the bonus area. So, that seems kind of clever. Especially noticeable how the fact that usually I do like certain bonus areas that does require a bit of thinking involved. Although, mind you, that unlike in Donkey Kong Country Returns, along with Tropical Freeze, that most of these bonus areas are considered to be, well, a bit more tougher than you think. Especially that you have to deal with, like, you know, the bonus areas at least just once, assuming if you do die, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and shoot these enemies here. In fact, I just keep on, like, doing these very, very bad jumps, but that's okay, because I believe this is the end of the level. Well, almost anyway. Still got some more stuff to handle with. Okay, we'll just inhale the trunk, there we go. And grab the G, and we get ourselves another extra life, or in this case, our extra life back after my first miserable attempt. Well, despite I've lost the footage of it, so... Anyway, so let's go ahead and... Ah, okay, whatever. That's okay, because the end of the level is just right here. Alright, nicely done. And I believe, before we get into the boss fight, we need to go down and head over to Orange Horde. And basically, this is another one of those caves that we can able to do Simon Says kind of segments. So I'm pretty sure I know what I was going to be doing here. Wow, a really easy button combinations as far as I'm concerned. Nice. Alright, so I believe we are now moving on to the final level in World 2, and this what appears to be Orange's Ambush. Oh boy, I wonder what this boss fight is going to be like. And it turns out it's going to be like a spider-like boss fight, so... Yeah, in order to deal with this boss fight is the fact that we need to be able to use the barrel, and then I highly recommend you able to use Dixie Kong for the majority of the fight, because mind you, that she can able to pick up the barrels with her ponytail. That way it's usually upwards for the barrel. And basically you have to deal the damage onto its face, and that's how you're essentially going to do in this fight. Occasionally it gets a bit difficult though, until when you start shooting those little tiny ball objects, or tiny ball projectiles, but usually if you go far into the right or the far right corner, basically that you will be fine. So you're just gonna have to able to hug all the way over there, and then when you deal with all that, then you would basically just manage to able to deal with the last hit. So I think usually for 4 hits it's gonna be enough. So in this case though, let's just wait until these balls will go away, and sure enough, he's done. And after we deal with him, we got ourselves a bit of a bandage of any sort. But enough about that, because, well, we're pretty much done with Kremwood Forest. So, huzzah, and, well, we've 100% everything on that world. And there's that little bear over there, which basically he'll give you a bit of a certain hints, or certain clues. But obviously, with that particular word that he said earlier for Lost World, I wonder what that was though. But then again, we'll point it out until whenever we continue our progressioning for this game. So, anyways, let's head back over to Funky's Rentals. And because since we got ourselves a bit of a patch. Okay, so that's what the patch is for. And basically, if we do manage to send a patch over to Funky Kong, basically he'll be able to do a bit of a construction upgrade for the actual boat. And this means we can now able to actually hop into the hovercraft. And basically, not only does it able to give you this pretty cool hovercraft design, but also we can now able to finally go over for those little rocks, as you can see here. Meaning that we can now able to do some more things here and there. So, first of all, let's head over to here, to the concave, for, you know, obtaining another banana bird. So, although I would like to do a fetch quest, but I think I should probably save that until the next video, because, wow, if you couldn't tell already, I've almost run out of time for this particular point. But hopefully we will do it at some point until the next Tuesday, so hopefully we'll get a chance by able to actually just to do all that. And of course, there's nothing we can do up there at the moment, because obviously we haven't fully, you know, upgraded our hovercraft yet, but hopefully we will can at some point. So, anyway, so now we ended up on the next area of this particular world map. And basically, we can either have a choice between these two worlds here. Like, one is Mechanos, or, let's just say, Cotton Top Cove. So I think we should probably end things off here and go on to this next world right there. So join me next time on Let's Play Donkey Kong Country 3. Instead, we'll move on to Mechanos. So I'll see you guys until Tuesday. Later, fellas.